is going on, everybody? I'm Dave, and I'm dark again. Gosh darn it. Okay. I am going to grab the light. I thought with all of these clouds that we have going on here, I could possibly, we wouldn't have a light problem. But we do. Welcome to Happy Hour Live. I will be getting not just pants. I've got pants, but and just we'll get that on there. I am glad to be back. When you look at those trees over that shoulder right there, and all along the hill there, I am back in Oregon. It is good to be back amongst the trees. I just love it. I just love it. A little gloomy today. I got a little. It's so far not a lot of rain, but I've got the awning out. If it starts raining during the live, I have to move over, and we'll see if we can't get, because if it rains right here, I'm going to get soaked, and hopefully not the laptop. We don't want that, but. Oh, we've got a lot to cover tonight, and we are going to cover, the big thing is I found myself in California as early as today, this morning, with a low fuel light and with 100 miles to go to get out of California and get back into Oregon. Obviously, I made it, but well, I'll share that journey with you just a little bit, and we also are going to be talking about, is there a class difference between RVs, the newer RVs, the high end RVs versus the lower end RVs, and there are so many different kinds out there. I'm going to introduce you to a channel, and they did a great job at a video tackling a subject that we haven't heard much about in the last, I don't know, it's been a couple of years, but they were faced with not being allowed into an RV park. And thanks to one of their viewers, they did a little test with an older RV, but it was basically $1 million bus. And they wanted to see if they'd let that person in. And I'm here to tell you you might already watch them if you already know the video. They have a really nice coach. There's no reason that they shouldn't have been allowed in there, but they did a great job on this video. So I'm going to share that with you tonight. And if we have time, I picked up, now it's been 2 years since I've had a chainsaw on the truck, and I used to travel with a chainsaw for the first at least 4 years. It was a gas oil chainsaw. I kept it in the back of the truck, and I never had anybody steal it. It finally had something break on it, and I finally had to decide whether it was worth it or not to replace it. I did not, and I had planned on opting to go electric this time. Just seems a little bit safer, a little bit easier, a little bit simpler, and it really makes a lot of sense for the RV community. So if you don't have a chainsaw, you might be wondering, well, Dave, why would we need that? I'll be discussing that tonight as well. So let me say hi to everybody really quick. And I have to say hi. Here is Cowboy Biker Adventures, first in the house. Got from Ortona Lock Campground. How you doing, Don? Glad to have you here. Bill is here. Fired Up Crackerbox Palace. Sassy Pants for you. That is Miss Jen right there. And I see you guys are trying to get on there, and I see Don is okay. We'll make you a deal. I see some dealing going on here to see if give somebody else a chance. No, you know what? All is fair. All is fair, Don. Good for you. I like it. I look forward to the shows. I'm glad that you guys too. And Gosh darn it. Let's see. WCRV Adventures is here. Let's. Oh, yeah. 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 Life with Lenny. Glad to have you here. Kimberly KJ, haven't seen you in a while. Glad to have you here. Miss Pearl right there. Glad to have you here. Something tells me I'll bet you Bob is back there in the background. It's good to have you here, you guys. Hopefully you are enjoying Oregon. I don't know where you're at. And yeah. Don, I'll give you that one. 100 miles with the fuel light on. It was 130. And yeah, I'm here to tell you, it was a little nerve-wracking. My neck is stiff, guys. Not only did I break my 70-mile rule today by going not 70, 80 or 90, but 130 miles with a low fuel light on, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but including on video here. I did a little bit there. There's Miss Bonnie, Desert Gypsies in the house. Glad to have you here. Back in Oregon. Yeah, back in Oregon. So it's Bonnie's glad. There you go. So, oh my gosh. Well, let's get right to it, because you know what? Video always does a better job of explaining these things than I will. So let's go ahead and while you guys are watching this, I'm going to see if I can't get some light, and we'll see if I could have a little light by the time that we come back. So hang on, guys. That's what we're looking at. Low fuel. I can't see if I can get there we go. Yeah, we're getting low. We're getting really low. So I'm in Alturas, California, and see if I can just show you. It's just a small casino, and it's a gravel parking lot. Good for an overnight. I've been here a couple times before. Now here's the deal. Right next door, right over there, that's actually a gas station on the other side of that building that you see, on the other side of that fence. Now, I have pushed my fuel light before, and where I'm at right now, I'm about 100 miles even from my next fuel stop, 80 miles from the Oregon border. And I've never pushed my fuel light that long. In fact, I've never pushed my fuel light much at all. There's only been one other occasion, and I went from Rachel, Nevada to Tonopah. And I believe that was just a little over 100 miles to into Tonopah. At that time, I didn't have a choice. And right now, I am at a fuel station in California. I could put in enough fuel to get me over and make sure that I get over the Oregon border. Now, this may not be very wise, and I wouldn't advise this for anybody, but I'm going to run with it. I'm going to go with it. It is not the, you know, I could put $10 in. I could put $10 in, excuse me, 10 gallons in. $10 wouldn't get me very far, but I could put 10 gallons in. Easily would carry me across the border into Oregon. There I could fuel up. Fuel in Oregon from here to there, about $2 a gallon cheaper. And when you're filling a 100-gallon tank, you're talking about a $200 difference. 10 gallons here, though, you're really talking less than a $10 difference for between getting it over there or not. But it is the principle of the thing. I do not want to fill up. I do not want to buy fuel in California I thought that I had planned this correctly, and I squeezed it a little too much, I think. But there it is, guys. We're gonna run it. We're gonna run it because it's the principle of the thing. And who knows? Tonight's live. This is Sunday. Tonight's live could be on the side of the highway. Hopefully in the Oregon side. I don't know. We're gonna go for it. Hang on, guys. We're gonna go. I've got to clean this windshield off. It is bad. I know. Dave, that's crazy. You know, you could just get 10 gallons of fuel and it would easily carry you over. You'd be okay. I could do that. I could absolutely do that. I am in the state of California. Fuel is $2 a gallon more here than it is over in Oregon. And there is the principle of the thing. It's that $20. I'm going to spend the next hour and a half thinking about how I could spend that $20. All right, guys, we're doing it. Hang on. Whew. Alturas, as far as Alturas goes, kind of a cool little town. Kind of old town, rural USA. I really enjoy these towns. It is Sunday. Quite a bit quieter. So, but I got a turn up here, and I'm gonna have to watch for that there. We're Klamath Falls bound. Now that was interesting. I'd almost want to stop there. So there are a lot of those missions in California. That one actually looked like it was pocked up from bullets, and be kind of curious to hear if that was built in or what. But very cool place, looked like. Diesel 569 at the Chevron. No, we're gonna go for it. Assume this is Canby. Just an assumption, given the names of the different buildings. Sure. Got some flags going on over there. Now past this point, there is definitely nothing. there is nothing between here and Klamath Falls. Here goes nothing. Well, there must be something. It says next services is 44 miles. So here goes something. 44 miles. Still not across the Oregon border. Near as I can guess, it's about 60 miles to the Oregon border. Now I know that it is bad luck to look at a fuel gauge when you're trying to push it. I get that. I'm trying to remain positive, though. I'm going to make it. In fact, I'm thinking about how to spend that $20 3 Starbucks grande lattes. Or how about a Big Mac meal at McDonald's? What is that, like $19.95 now? No, wait a minute, that was California. Like, I could get 2 of them in Oregon. That is the agricultural station. Pretty common in California. They're checking for fruit and nuts coming into California. I keep telling them they're already here. But I can't be that far away from the Oregon border when I'm seeing that ag station. We'll keep watching. Well, there's the truck. Hit the pickup. Would that be a bad sign? Would that be a bad sign? Actually, I did make it to Love's. I am fueling up. My battery died somewhere just as I was crossing into Oregon. Had to I had no battery up front, so unfortunately I was not able to record, but I did take on 10 gallons just inside of Oregon. I don't remember the name of the little town that it was, but I did take on 10 gallons. So we're gonna add that on to whatever that I had here, because I was just getting a little too nervous to try to run that through. So we're just gonna go ahead and watch what we get up here. See what we get. All right, guys, hold on. Now the tank that I have is a 100-gallon tank, and this is the most fuel I've taken on at one stop. 83. Let's see if we can squeeze a little more into this here. I'm not ready to call it done just yet. Okay, well, that is as much as it's gonna take. It is full. No two ways about it. It is full. 83 gallons. Add on the 10 that I took on previously, brings us up to 93 gallons total. And now with a 100-gallon tank, I'm going to say that I still had about 7 gallons left, or somewhere around 40 miles worth of fuel left over. And wow, not bad, not bad. All right, guys, but I mean, that was getting low. That was getting low. So I'm gonna pull forward, get out of the fuel lanes, go pour myself a cup of coffee and take a breather for a minute. Oof. I was a little nervous on that one. Okay, there you go. I got a little bit of light here. There's a little bit. There is a little bit. So yeah, I got over the California border and into Oregon. I guess over the Oregon border, depending on which way you're going. And you know what? I just thought, I'm going to stop and take on 10 gallons of fuel. I think I had about 31 miles to go at that point. And unfortunately, the battery was dead in the GoPro. I did not have another battery to throw in it. So I put that on the charger and put the 10 gallons in. I figured I could just tell you about it and that will work. But yeah, now had I gone straight through, I would have made it. I would have made it. I've been about 101, 102. I've run that. I've pushed that fuel light one other time before, and then 130. That yeah, yeah. Oh, is that 100 gallons usable? That's exactly what you don't know, Bob, isn't it? I mean, I put 93 in, but did I have 94 usable? Um, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. But I will say I'm not counting the total fuel out of the tank. I am counting the miles from the time that my fuel light comes on and until I am able to get to a fuel station. And that is kind of important information to have in the back of your mind, especially when you're faced with it's 60 miles to the next town in the direction you're going, or it's 30 miles back to the town that you just came from. Your fuel light is on. Do you push it that 60 or do you go back 30 and just eat that mileage? So in this case, though, I have a 5-gallon fuel can in the back of the truck. I easily could have unhooked, run on into Klamath Falls, put 5 gallons of fuel in that, and brought it on back to the coach. It would have been a little bit of a pain in the ass, but trying to know just about how much fuel you can run on when that fuel light comes on, it takes a daring sort to figure that out. So I did I did see. So Lenny and Angela said they made it 600. Six. Repeat that again, Lenny, if you could. I think it was. I don't remember where that was. It was. They made it 600 some on one tank. This one, I was at 619. I was at 619. It seems to me it's 637. There you go. So I was 619. I still had about 7. I'm guessing 7 gallons left. I don't know. So there you go. Let's see here. I'm getting notifications on there. So I mean, and you guys bring up some great points, and that is you don't want to run your fuel tank that low. I've heard that. I've heard it from truck drivers. I've heard it from RV coach dealers. I've heard it from drivers and other full timers. And there is a certain amount. The idea is there's a certain amount of crud at the bottom of your fuel tank. And when you get down that low, you're going to get that crud in your fuel system. So I can tell you that at least mine and most of your diesels out there, at least the big ones, have 2 fuel filters. So I'm almost certain nothing is going to get through those, but you know what? Fuel filters and relying on that is kind of like life insurance, and we don't want to use that either. So this but at some point though, I mean, when do you test it? When do you say, you know what, I'm gonna push it and just see what I can get for fuel mileage? So yeah, what is an SLA battery? Yeah, fuel I don't know either, Bob. I don't know. So yeah, Lenny got 637. That's pretty good. I got 619 on this last tank of fuel. And now how much fuel I had left, I I was only able to put 93 gallons in. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Do we have is it 100 even? Do you have 96 usable? That we just don't know. We don't know. So we test it. It appears we test it. Yeah. It's the principle of the thing. Anybody can, when you're in California, it's just the principle of the thing. So yeah. I'm not going to disagree. I've heard this before, Gary, and I'm not going to say you're wrong. Yeah, you give former truck drivers nightmares. Yeah, I know it. I know it. Yeah. Yeah, if you've got a newer coach, there's only one way to figure this out. I mean, or if you've got a new to you vehicle. Now, I've owned this rig since 2015, and I have only pushed that fuel like one other time before. And I remember it coming on just after leaving Rachel, Nevada. And my nearest fuel was Tonopah, Nevada. And as I recall, I had about 101 or 102 miles to go to get to Tonopah. And at that time, now I believe there's actually a gas station out there in Rachel. But yeah, back then there was not. And I had to push it. That's it. This time was a little more elective. This time I had a backup plan, and I thought, you know what, I can do the live from the side of the highway. I mean, I did not encourage him. No, I think Miss Bonnie had told me you really shouldn't do that. I'm paraphrasing, of course, because I think she had other words that I can't say on here, but I think she said something to the effect of you really shouldn't do that, especially since you're sitting right next to a fuel station. So it is all good advice, but at some point you'd rather know rather than test it out. So I'm happy to say that I am willing to push this thing 120 miles. Up until this morning, I was not willing to push it over 100 miles, and now I am willing to push that about 120, 130. Now, keep in mind the things that can affect it, and I did film it, but I didn't have it for the course of this video. I did run it at 55. Now, the speed in California is technically 55. If you're 3 axles or towing anything, you're supposed to be at 55. I did keep it at 55, hoping that it would, help my fuel mileage and bring it on in. Hills changed anything. On the trip from Alturas up to Klamath Falls, pretty minor. There wasn't a lot. I had a couple of very small grades, nothing bad. So call me an old fuddy-duddy, but I don't like going below half. The worst I can get from a bad fill up is half tank of bad fuel. I get it. This is good advice, guys. I am not discounting it at all. I was in California. All right. 569. What was the five? I got it on camera there. I was in California. Yeah, there you go. When you head up, would you do that? That would be outstanding. I would love to work something out with you to do back-to-back lives. That would be an absolute blast, Bob. I really like that idea. Let's get on the phone and talk about it. there is a way that you can do that, by the way, and it, that would be a lot of fun. So, and yeah, that Alaska trip, yeah, you do push the limits on that. I have heard that from a number of them out there. Bee trappers in the house. Glad to have you here. Yeah. Now, Dawn is working with gas, but I don't think it makes any difference, gas or diesel. Although I will say, I think diesel is a little bit dirtier, and Gary probably would agree. I think your gasoline tends to be a little bit cleaner than your diesel, at least coming out of the pumps. But um, well, yeah. What I normally I don't like into California. When I left Reno, I really did look at my fuel and look at how far I had to go to get up into Oregon, and I pushed it just a little bit harder than I think I should have, because I was not running the generator, and somebody said that earlier. When you get down below a quarter of a tank, you're going to lose your generator. Thankfully, thankfully, I have not needed the generator. The solar's been doing great. The batteries have been doing great, and so I have not needed to run. I think I did run it for 30 minutes one day, and it was more of a maintenance thing. You really should run that about once a month. So I've been having great luck with that, though, and have not needed to run. So my generator wasn't the one using up all the fuel. I just calculated wrong. That's all, I guess. I calculated wrong. So, but there you go. I am very comfortable as saying I can go 120. And if that fuel light comes on, I'm probably not going to turn around and go back the opposite direction to the nearest town if I can hit that next one. But again, I've owned the coach for 10 years. I've only done this twice now. So I'm feeling like this morning I just thought, you know what? This is a good time to test it. This is a good time to test it. So okay, we're gonna change this up just a little bit, guys, and hopefully you guys like that. And we're gonna go on to the next thing. And I have to give a shout out to a channel out there. Um, did a great uh, du- 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 video, and we talked about it at the beginning of the live here, but um, no, said right there and right there. There we go. Share that. We're going to Okay. Yeah, reboot, come back, Dave is frozen on my end, locked up, Dave. Yeah, the computer crashed, guys. The computer crashed. So let's see if I can throw this back up here again, and hopefully we won't crash the computer this time. But I want to give a shout out because this was great. And actually, I want to give thanks to Miss Bonnie, Desert Gypsy, in the house for passing along this video. Let's see. Boop. Oh my gosh.
How fed up that we are getting with some RV campgrounds, literally destroying the sense of community and RV adventure that.
There we go. I didn't intend on showing the video, but I wanted to give you the name, Grateful Glamper, right down there. And they did a fantastic video on a subject that we have all heard about. If you've been in the RV community for any length of time, we know that, and hopefully you got it. If you got it right there, Grateful Glamper, the unbelievable role that's destroying the RV community. Go check that out. Thanks to Miss Bonnie for sharing that. That was awesome. And there we go. But no. You know, get off of there. There we go. Great video. I'm just to summarize a little bit. They tried to get into a park here, and they have a newer rig, but it is older. And I believe the park either had a 10 or 15-year-old rule. And, you know, agree with it or not, we've seen them all. And gosh darn it, it does exclude a lot of people. Now, that was real big 3-4 years ago, and there was a lot of talk about it on the internet. You really haven't heard a lot about it. I am running a 2004. That the Endeavor is a 2004. It falls outside of, we're talking 20 years, guys, 20 years old. It falls outside of the 10-year rule, the 15-year rule, and the 20-year rule. I mean, I'm right at the 20-year rule if they have one. So, yeah, that was the ex Bill knows it right there. Yeah. The worst thing is they were invited to the place originally and then rejected due to RV age. And I don't want to give away too much of the video because I do want you to go and check that out. But I will say one of their viewers, thanks to one of their viewers, offered to do a test. And this test was one of their viewers had an older rig. It was a 2002 bus, a very highline bus. I think this bus originally sold for $1.5 million. This is a beautiful bus. And they wanted to see if they could get in to this place. And I'm not going to give that away. I'll let you guys go and check out that video and see it for yourself. But I thought that this would be a good time to say, you know, I have and bring up the topic and talk about it, because I have seen a kind of a double standard out there. And it doesn't matter whether it's boondocking or lot docking at a casino, even Walmarts and things like that. I have literally I've driven in with NASCAR semis into a parking lot that you're not supposed to camp in. They were parked there, and I just took a chance and just rolled in right with them. And parked and stayed there. This was a number of years ago. Now the thing that I guess the point that I'm getting to is that I have had rigs roll in that were older than mine and didn't look as nice as mine. And I drew no judgment from that, but they would get a stop by with security. And did you check in? And I would go over and talk to them and say, what were they asking you? Oh, they were just asking me if we checked in, and they were pretty adamant that we could only stay 2 days. And I'm here to tell you that the security never stopped by my rig. I have been to places, lot docking at casinos, um, where they normally don't allow overnight stays. And they looked at me and literally said, "But you're fine." Now, it begs to wonder if it was a schoolie or something like that. And some of these are nice rigs, guys. I'm not talking about a dumpy, trashy rig. Some of these are really nice rigs, but they're older. Technomatia, if you know the Zephyr that they drive around, it is an older rig, and it is a beautiful rig. They've been driving it around for years, and they've been full timing in it, and they too have had problems going into some parks and some places. And there is, from my estimation, there is a double standard out there, and it's unfortunate. But that they're so afraid of the homeless. You're right, and there are a number of them out there. So and it is. I'm excuse my language. It is a shit show, and I've seen them out on the BLM, and I've seen them overstaying their 14 days by what appears to be months. And that this is a little bit different, though. This is looking at the parks, and the premise of their video was, this is really hurting the RV community. Those parks out there that are discriminating based on age, that they are actually hurting the RV community, and they go into some great discussion about why, and including lowering the value of your older RV later on for resale value, and it's a very valid point. Everybody here that has bought an RV has had to consider what that value of that RV is going to be afterwards. Well, if you fall outside of that 10 years or 15 years, they're going to look at that and say, well, we don't want to buy a rig and that is going to potentially keep us from being able to get into parks. So great video. Go check that out. Again, I put a link in the description. So if you're looking for it, go to the description. You'll see a link to that video. Subscribe to them, and great job. I just applaud that video. They did a great job. So I will say that, and we'll get over to the saw here in just a second, but I will say that I have not heard as much out of Thousand Trails. Thousand Trails got real hot and heavy on that. I think there is an issue, though, because Thousand Trails is a membership, not just a private campground. And there's some responsibilities that go along there. Now, a private campground or a private RV park, they can pretty much discriminate and allow in who they want. And so long as it's not a protected class, and I promise you, a 10-year-old or older RV is not protected. They have that right to do that. So don't hear much of it out of Thousand Trails. So yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and I'm not going to disagree with you, Bob. I think that now they did bring up an interesting point. They did not point out or name the name of the RV park in there, but would you say that the property owner has that right and you support that? I personally think that it would have been okay for the the author of the video, the people putting out the video, to say who that is. And that goes towards their decision. That you know, and what's more is they invited them to come out, and then once they got there, they said no. So yeah, no, I'm not going to disagree with you, though. It's private property, and the private property owner does have discretion, and they absolutely should be able to do that. So yeah, from what I know, talking for years as the same RV park owner in Canada, it was based on RV age, and if you are over 10 years, they are letting you in at their own risk. Okay, that's it. That's an interest. I think the biggest thing, though, is they are trying to avoid the blue tarps and the duct tape over the windows. Quite honestly, and I've seen it out there, and yeah, no, it is not a good look. It is not a good look. So. I don't know, Don. Older RVs are more likely to have a fire if they have a 12 volt fridge. Well, yes and no. I mean, you know, they didn't build those fridges to catch on fire. They happen to catch on fire, but you could say that about most any appliance out there. So, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hit I was at 11 years when I bought this thing. It's a 2004, and I bought it in 2015. So it was right from the get-go. It was 11 years old. So yeah, Cowboy Dawes, my rig is 11 years old. So has anybody in here been told that they couldn't come in because of the age of their rig? I will say that I have not been rejected. I have not been told that I can't come in because of the age of my rig. I have had it on 2 occasions. They wanted to come out and inspect the rig when I was checking in, and but they came back in and said no, they're good to go, and on in I went. I didn't have any problems. So you know, and Bill Scott, I think this is valid. This is a valid point right here, and I think the community, they are private property owners. They can make which decisions and who they allow in, just as we're allowed to make a list of these places that that are limited or might reject us. And if anything, it gives us insight to say, don't try to stay there. I think we absolutely should be allowed to do that. So, and to a certain extent, I think you're right, but I also think that you know, there are some parks that are hard and fast on their rules, and it doesn't matter the rig. So you'll find that out if you go and check out that video. Again, great job by Grateful Glamper. So check that out, and it might answer that question for you right there. No problem here. They don't like your cargo trailer. No, I know they don't, Don. I know they don't. Went to one park, had an RV age limit, but said if it's older, send a picture. Now, you'll see on the video, they actually did that. Grateful Clamper, that they actually sent a picture of their rig. They invited them come out and said no problem. Then they got out there and yeah, so and turned them down. So Blaze did a walk around. Yep, 2 times on the walk around. So yeah, yeah, I don't think this really exists at any of the national parks, the campgrounds. I certainly not the BLM. I think this is a decision by private park owners, and we don't see that. We had to send pictures of our bus. Yeah, but we're approved. Yeah, there you go. And some are really nice. Yeah. So, oh, there you go. There you go, Bob. That's your next video. Everybody wants to see your MCI bus, including me. I want to see it, Bob. Watch your key videos. Okay. All right. We got about 10 minutes left. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to get it. Let's go ahead and talk about where I was and right there. So what is going on, guys? Fort Sage OHV riding area. It's got vault toilets and there's trash cans all around here, and probably one of the cleanest BLM campgrounds and OHV riding areas. Fire pits, table, and I have never really seen the barbecues before, but I'll tell you what, it's kind of impressive. Kind of impressive. Very clean around here, not a lot of trash around. I really like Fort Sage. This is right outside of Doyle, California. Just a few miles off of the highway coming through, so I always make the stop here. And this is Saturday, fairly empty. Got a couple people down there. There's actually 3 campgrounds. There's one way down there, there's another one way just right there on the road in, and then this one up here. Each one of them is about six campsites, I would assume. Pretty darn nice. Been here for a few days. Got to kind of relax. I was playing with a toy, a new toy. Let's see if I can grab it over here. Oh. Oh, hold on. Let's see if I can get the other half of this here. Here we go. Just a little bit left. It's a Dewalt. It looks like the model number DCC S620 chainsaw. Got a smaller bar on it. It's smaller than what I'd have. It's been a couple years since I've had a saw, and I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger on this one. Now, I've had Dewalt tools for a lot of years and used them contracting, building, and I have really appreciated Dewalt and done a lot of Dewalt stuff over the years. Managed to cut up some firewood here, and had made little work of this. You see some of these pieces are shorter just because I wanted to play with it a little bit and really try it. And gonna have to do a hot or not video on this one, but I can tell you, first of all, I would recommend a saw for anybody that is into boondocking, four-wheeling, getting out into the forest, especially if you get out into the forest, because while it's really nice to have it for cutting up firewood and making for fires at night, having the chance of trees blowing across the road during windstorms, things like that, especially if you boondock a lot, or if you're out four-wheeling, sometimes those trees fall, and there's no pulling or pushing those out of the way. They're too big, and it definitely would be something that you'd want to consider having. Now, I have to say, though, after being a Dewalt fan for, I don't know, at least 20 plus years, I am not impressed with this saw. And one of the main reasons is, first of all, let me say that it's not very powerful. And yes, I am used to gas saws, and I recognize that an electric saw probably isn't going to have the power. Now, I really do enjoy that it uses my Dewalt batteries, and that is a great thing, because that Dewalt battery fits my drill, my Sawzall, my skill saw. It's that really helps out. Now, normally Dewalt really does a good job on a quality product. Unfortunately, though, this one has a defect that is not going to work for me. Not going to work at all. So basically what it is an oil leak from underneath, and it's hard to see it right now, but that oil leak left a puddle on the table and a puddle on the ground. I basically had to store it outside last night, and now these only take bar oil. There's a tank right here for doing the bar oil, and I'm not meaning to do a review of this saw. Honestly, there are plenty of them out there, but what I and where I had planned on it to store this thing is what makes this not going to work for me, and that is that oil leak. I had planned on keeping it in the truck. Now, the truck I always have with me if I have the coach, so I wouldn't be without my saw if a tree fell across the road. And when I'm out four-wheeling and I'm out, driving around the country, going and exploring the truck, I want to have the saw with me. So it just makes sense to store it in the truck, just in case I need it when I'm out, exploring. But what is going to keep that from happening, and you can see a little bit of oil on the table right there, just from it sitting right there. I can't have this thing leaking oil inside the cab of the truck. That's just not going to work. And I went to the Dewalt website, and the Dewalt website actually lists the problem on there, the complaint that it's leaking oil. And unfortunately, and this is really, I expected more from Dewalt, their answer to this was to actually drain out the oil after using the saw. Drain all the oil out, and that way it won't leak. I'm sorry, guys. That just is not Dewalt. I can't believe that they that's their remedy for this. There are a number of remedies online talking about an O-ring is missing, or it is just not up to the Dewalt standards, and I think that Dewalt really messed up on this one, because I want to like the saw, but the two things, it is underpowered, and that oil leak. I could live with the underpowered. You can see that I've managed to cut up some logs with it with no problem, and rather big ones too. But yeah, that oil leak is going to make this isn't going to work. So I didn't plan on talking about the saw this long. I am trying to get out of here. I am trying to head north. This is my last day here at Fort Sage. So I've had a beautiful view for a few days. This campground is free, and there are some people riding. There's lots of riding trails. You can see the trails kind of going. All right. All right, guys. So there it is. We're out of time, and that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I am, just to kind of finish up a little bit of the Dewalt, I am going to call them and ask them if they have a better solution. I saw some comments in there. If it's leaking bar oil, it's defective. You're absolutely right. It is absolutely defective. This is not up to the standards of DeWalt, and just because it's a dirty chainsaw does not mean it should be leaking oil. I am going to, before I return this to the store, I'm going to contact DeWalt and just ask them if they have a solution or remedy for this that is correct. Well, yeah, it's pretty bad. If that's it, and it is on their website, it says they acknowledge there's the problem with oil leaking, and it's not just some of them, it's all of them. There's some really bad R&D that happened on this saw, because to let that roll through knowing that this was a problem, and then their answer is dump the oil out after each time that you use it. I got a better idea, Dewalt. We're going to dump your saw. I'm going to see if I can't find a better saw out there, something that doesn't leak oil, if you can't make a better product. So we'll just leave it at that. We're going to wrap this one up. We're going to see you guys next week. It's good to be back in Oregon, and going to enjoy a couple months here before I get rolling for the East Coast. So we will see you guys next time. I'm going to give the last right there. Enjoy your week, all. We will see you guys next week. Live life full time. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. All right. There we go.